सलाम मेरे अजीज पंखों।
Did I do something, Tay? I told you before that it was useless to talk to such person. Himama peeking at Theon. Thank you so much for this goodbye gift, man. You're too hyper for your good. Invo coughed with a laugh, and Jacob stared at him with an look. He appeared crazy. Nevertheless, I feel relieved now that I know you would take care of him. Invo chuckled, wiping his face with a handkerchief, gaining their attention. I hope you can forgive me, Tay. I'm getting transferred soon. Jungkook glared at Invo, and young Taeyoung with his toward the door without letting Tay say anything. He didn't even stop hearing Hobie or any other person. The only thing on his mind right now was his mind, and didn't listen to him and got himself in trouble. He was content hearing him by his name, and other matter needed attention first. I told you to stay with Jimin and J-Hope. Taeyoung tucked down his head when he finally uttered. He had dragged Taeyoung to the car and made him sit too. He had not a single word until the whole ride. They noticed how his jaw was clenched and how his hand was tight on the steering wheel. But bring it took courage to address him. Don't be angry. What was the need to talk with him? I remember telling you to stay away from the person. He started, anger lacing his tone, which made they shuffle in seat. Why are not you answering now? He groaned, taking a glare at Taeyoung. He was just apologizing, they murmured slowly, and Jungkook groaned hearing his answer. Seriously, Taeyoung? They shrugged, as he shouted they had not seen him angry. This was the first time after their wedding at that Taeyoung saw him was. Otherwise he had always been patient. And of the matter, they were still in thought when he felt the car stop. They looked up to see and arrived. Go inside. He started, and they piqued his hard feature. He seems in a very bad mood. They opened his mouth to speak, but he shut up for. I said go, they stumbled with a cold voice. They was not used to hear such a harsh tone, and the way he had been with the past week, extremely sweet, it's hurt him. Okay, they opened the side of the door and stepped down, put the car in, and are you back? They stood up for an armchair when they saw him the door of the room open and Jungkook step in. They saw him from top to bottom of their shirt, sleeve rolled up. They gazed at the muscular arm, and he threw the blazer in his hand on the couch and ruffled already messed hair. After dropping there at home, he had left again and returned only now. They glared at the clock at striking 9. It was waiting for him too long. He would normally return by 6, so they had been waiting almost worried for him. Will you eat? They was going to say for the dinner, but when he spoke, why don't you ask Inu for that? He said, as he removing the watch and placed it on the dressing table. He didn't even look at Taeyoung. They felt his stomach knocked in anxiety. They gasped at his back as he entered the dressing room. They kept staring at the same place. The moment to sit down in the armchair again. To tap his feet anxiously, thinking of how to make the situation better. They cursed himself for creating to talk with Invo. They should not have done that. He had Jimin to make an attempt for their relationship and open up a little, but Invo had trained everything. What was they going to do now? They looked at the closed door. He stood up when they heard the door creaked open, and Jungkook stepped outside, rubbing his wet hair with the towel. Taeyoung stood still as he threw the towel across the crotch and popped down on the bed. Turn off the lights, he ordered, and closed his eyes and placed the arm over them. They stood still taking in the words. He asked they to turn off the light. He knew they were scared of dark. He had seen how frightened they had been that other day, and after that he would keep the light on for him. They looked at him. He didn't even call him to bed. Over the past week, they had gotten used to his embers. He had been sleep taking tea in his warm hole. They saw getting anxious. Why? That anger with him. Taking slow steps, they reached to the switchboard and turned off the lights with the same pace as they reached to the bed and lay down on the side. They waited for a minute, but when he didn't pull Tay into the arm as he could normally do, maybe Tay was overreacting. They brushed away the thought and closed his eyes. A minute had been passed, and they felt his tremble and making him. They was hungry. He didn't have the dinner. They was waiting for Jungkook, but he was used to have dinner with him. They turned around to the feeling, but it was only true now. They had realized he didn't eat. They nipped around as while he stood up accepting. Nor did they get to sleep, did the feeling. They glanced toward the left and saw him in the same position. They could only make him much, but because of the dark, they stood up and wore his slippers. They was near the door when his voice made him to step. And where are you going? Jungkook inquired, sitting straight on the bed and turned to the side of the lamp. Huh? I was going to the kitchen. They managed to answer without delay. What do you need? They looked at and questioned. Speak up, Jungkook asked. He could not complete, but how could when they were sitting around the past 10 minutes? Also, he had gotten used to the Tae's soft finger in the arms. He missed his presence, but he was angry to the fact that they didn't listen to him. He had told him to stay away from Jimin and J-Hope. What if that he'd do something? He'd calm down. Whenever he thought about the incidents back in the university, he would feel his blood boil. He didn't want to say anything harsh to Theon. Therefore, he had been ignoring him. I was feeling hungry, they replied, and he grinned at him. They wore a plain black shirt with black trousers. He noticed their dark brown hair. It was a rare sight. You didn't have dinner, he inquired about an eyes over fill form. No, they replied milky. And why so? He formed. I was waiting for you. He dared and they in surprise. The end of his lip. And was he waiting for him? What about the lunch? He asked, raising his brows. I didn't reply. They saw him and nodded in a no, which made him form. Why are you so careless? You didn't eat anything the whole day, he explained, getting down from the bed and took long to reach him. I had breakfast, they muttered as he turned to the small frame. Thank you so much for this favor. What was the need for even doing breakfast? He spoke, turning the lights on. And then, his eyes. Jungkook swallowed greatly as he saw him under there. His eyes went to their delicate waist, to the back, the way he was averting his gaze. Let's go. He went near Taeyoung. Huh? The shock confusion on his face. Jungkook took a card to Tae and the beauty he held in his hand. Let's get your tummy first. His eyes bugged as he unlocked the door and begged to drag Taeyoung with him. Sit. He left the hand and entered to the couch. On the chair, they saw him pulling out the chair for Tae and moved toward the fridge. I can do. They reached behind him, but he spoke harshly, making Tae stop. I told you to sit. He pointed toward the chair, and Tae nodded, turning away, but made him stiff a smile. Taeyoung gazed. He took the food out from the fridge, pouring it to the plate, and placed it to the microwave. A look casual yet handsome. The way he would ruffle their hair. Sometimes his musk was flexed. They placed his hand on the table in front of him and put the chin on the hand, explaining him freely. He walked back to the fridge, took out the juice, and poured it in the glass. He put it in a tray. When he made the smile he was doing for Tae, they felt the stomach flip at the impression his husband was preparing a plate for him. They blinked, while hiding his gaze when he lowered back him. Jungkook smirked at Tae peeping him and looked away. Eat. They looked at the plate of food in front of him with a huge grin. They was extremely hungry. Jungkook chuckled as he saw Tae. He sat beside him on the chair. They could not help but groan as they looked at his first bite. That was heavenly. They took and played before him and set a spilo before they could take another bite. The word hit his ear, not like I was expecting a thank you, but still. They bite his tongue and they forget he was there. That the food doesn't do a person. They turned to look at him and felt his head, and his eyes met his ones. The blue glittered with something new that they was not familiar with. He was sitting at arm's length, but they could feel his passion enveloping him. His hand shivering as they tried to take another bite. They could drop his intense state on him. Don't look at me like this, they murmured, making Jungkook smile broad. They was to take another on. Like how? He inquired, rolling a strand of his hair in his finger, and Theon clubbed to his fingers and pulled a little, just to gain his attention. Like this, Timothy keep playing with his hair. Like this how? He smiled at his word and tucked the hair behind his ear, giving the full excess of his face. They felt his heart creep, his cheeks at his action. He kissed his jawline, and they, diverting. His touch was enough to spark through his whole body. It was also in a way food. They said with his hand reached to the side of his neck, folding ever so lightly, and he laughed.